Hey there UK EDCers, today I'm going to be reviewing this, which is the Bestech Junzi, which is the first Chinese premium knife I've reviewed. This is available on several websites, loads of places, Lamnia, Tiny Haynes, Knives and Tools. This is available everywhere. This is not a hard to get knife at all. It is quite expensive, it's $169.95 if you buy it on Heine at least, and comes in an available array of colours. You can get this, you can get gold, you can get just plain grey, or you can get blue, like that blue, on the whole knife, and you'll get a grey clip for some reason. So, box with this thing, you know, it's nicely designed. You get that, okay. You get a microfiber cloth, which is actually a useful extra. And nothing else. Warranty? Warranty. If they've got a warranty, I'll try and find it. If I can find it, it'll be on screen now. Get rid of that box. Knife. Okay, this is a start straight off the bat. Fantastic looking little knife. This is really slick. Oh, talking of that, just before we get too far into it, some of you might notice that my blade looks a little bit different than it should. That's because of reasons I'll get into later. I've had to refinish this blade. This has resulted in the billboarding being sort of disseminated into the finish. So, although it's fairly similar to the original finish, it's obviously not professionally done by any standards. It's done by me, so it's awful at best. But either way, it's your blade will come grey like that with a logo and the steel type. So aside from that, just keep that a note. So the action on this thing is really satisfying. It's got a nice satisfying close sound, a nice opening sound. Looks a bit dark. Let's illuminate things. There we go. So yeah, it's a little bit difficult to open for me. My hand gets a little bit cramped here. If my fingers are oily, wet, sweaty, something like that, I'll slip right off there, or right off the back of this clip here, which are the only two places you can grab this when you're opening, and you have to sort of like that. You sort of get used to it, but it's far from ideal. I guess this would suit smaller hands, smaller Asian hands maybe. Either way, it's a little bit small for my hands. But other than that, the action's absolutely great. One very teeny tiny small point. I'm not sure if this is just because my big man ape hands are smashing down on this so hard. It does seem to, I mean, there's no visible damage or anything, but it does seem to want to grind a little bit on the inside of the scale when you're opening it. Maybe that was just a noise I was hearing. I don't know. Maybe it was because it's got 3 phosphor bronze washers. That's right, 3. I don't know if it's meant to have 2, I don't know if it's meant to have 4, but this one has got 3. Fair enough. It's got a captive T8 Torx pivot there, which is exactly what you want. 2 T6s here and a T6 just for the clip. I think that's another T6 for the... Yeah, it looks like a T6, just to hold the carbon fibre inlay in there, and that's all that does. So the hardware front, absolutely spot on. Really love Torx. Like, it's just simple, uniform, works great. You got all titanium scales that have got little hollowed out bits on the inside to save weight or money or whatever it is. So that's lovely. They're very comfortable in the hand. It's got a lovely anode job on it, depending on which one you pick, and the scales have a very fine finish to them. You can see like very small wave pattern inlaid on them, same as on that clip there, and I think that's to stop like fingerprint marks showing up on them so easily, which that works fine. You do get a little lanyard hole here. Your clip will be anodized or not, depending on your choice. It's not a deep carry, and it is reversible. It's a tip up carry, which I like to see. In your pocket, it will look something like that, which is a-okay to me. There's not too much showing there. They're not ridiculous colours. And another great thing that Bestech have thought to do is, I'm not really usually a fan of inlays. They've done these quite elegantly. I quite like these ones. And they serve the dual function of going up against the back side of this pocket clip. Now, a lot of you who've got anno titanium scales will know, is the clip tends to wreck them. You'll get snail trails all over the place where your clip touches the scale, which is a massive pain in the arse. But they've managed to solve that by just chucking some carbon fibre under there, so good lads. It's very... I'd say it's a little bit difficult to open, but the close function on it, that's exactly how I like to close a knife. I just like to, using the finger choil, smash it up against my finger there, and then just finish it off like that. I know a lot of people like to do the old with slip joints, or some people like to even from there just close it all in one go. To each their own, but the way I like to close it, this works perfectly with. The grip, however, is phenomenal for my hands. You've got jimping at the bottom on your finger choil there to put your finger on. You've got jimping up here where you can push your thumb into, and then you get this big concave part here, and all your fingers fall neatly in there, and you've got a really nice solid grip on this knife. It's yeah, you're completely safe, which brings me to another point. I don't really know why they've included a half stop on this when you've got a finger choil that sort of stops about there. But I guess if you like half stops, it's there, which another thing, that half stop is the type I like, wherein it doesn't affect the opening, but it does affect the close. The spring on this is, it's middle of the road. It's definitely not strong. It's nowhere near Manly Wasp. It's weaker than the UK PK. It's not as weak as the Hinderers though. It's not as weak as the Benchmade Proper. It's just meh. You know, it's okay. Fit and finish on this is phenomenal, except for one thing, but I'll get to that later. So for the most part, the fit and finish on this is absolutely on point. Really, really nice. It's nice and smooth on the back there. It seems fairly even either side of that. Maybe a little bit weird where the blade meets the back spring there, but I don't know. All the parts are nice, all the hardware and stuff. I don't see anything wrong with that fit and finish. The carbon fibre inlays are just level enough with the... I'm fine with that. There's a rant I'm going to go into at the end of this about... I don't know, I guess this does come under fit and finish, but we'll go into that. So the blade is S35VN as denoted by this bit of billboarding here, which you'd see on the original. It also has Bestech Knives logo on the other side next to the thumb stud here. It's a flat grind, quite slicey, not too thick, not thin though, behind the edge. The jimping, I am in love with the jimping on this, the top and the bottom one for your thumb and finger. It's aggressive but not sharp. They've chamfered it quite well. It's a very, very nice job on that jimping there. Ideal. Centering is okay. Again, keep in mind that I've taken this knife apart and put it back together, so the centering might not be factory standard. Although, you know, it's fine as far as I can tell. I think it's very slightly to the right hand side. But again, I'm pretty sure I looked at the centering when I unboxed this. Blade play, there is a very small amount. Although again, don't take my word for it because I've modified this knife. So the one big thing I will say straight away that I can see that's bad about this though is, you might have noticed this already, is, can you see, as with all ano knives, on the scales here, you've got the ano starting to wear off already. It's going silver just on the edge there. I'm hoping that's focused. As well as just at the edge of this clip. The clip I'm fine with, that's fine. And this side, it's going a tiny bit on the edge there as well, where it's been rubbing against my pocket. But not... I mean, I don't know if there's anything that can be done about that, but it is what it is. That ano is going to wear off. So, as for the size of this bad boy, can't be bothered to look it up, I'm just going to measure it today. Millimeters. Okay, so we've got... what's that like? Just shy of 10 centimeters for the handle. The cutting edge is, what, 6.5, something like that, just over 6. If you've got a pedantic police officer, that will be right on the line, all the way up from the beginning of the choil, the finger choil there. The whole thing together is just under 17 centimeters. Thickness of the back spine is, what's that? 8 millimeters. Thickness of the blade is 3.5 millimeters, something like that. I have got calipers coming. Don't know where the hell they are. It's what you get for ordering off Amazon. Cheapy. Weight on this thing. Again, can't be bothered to look on the internet, so here's a set of scales. 80 grams precisely. So not too heavy, which I wouldn't expect. It is titanium. And let's compare this against a few we know. So there's its best friend, the Manly Wasp version 2. Very similar. There it is against the Hindra XM Slippy. There's a Spyderco UK PK. And for the Americans out there, you got a 940. I'm opening these like a bloody slip joint. You've got a Rat 1 and you've got a Recon 1. Now, I said earlier there was one glaring issue with this, and I've saved that till last because this knife is excellent. Okay, it's beautiful, it's very nice, it looks fantastic, the action's fantastic, it feels fantastic, the grip is great, the ano's great, the finish on the blade until I fucked it is great. The only problem prior to this big one that I had with this knife was that it was a little bit difficult to open. Love the steel, love S35VN, love the titanium, love the carbon fibre. This thing was perfect. It was, except for that, alright, not perfect, but very, very good. Nothing's perfect. But this was, you know, they clearly studied the market. They'd gone, yep, absolutely, we know what we're doing. We're using good steels, we're using good handle materials, we're making it well, we're doing good tolerances. So, those of you who've done your homework, do you know about the Manly Wasp? There's a problem with many slip joints, specifically cheap ones. Something that, I don't know what the official term for it, but I'm going to call it over travel. Now, the Manly Wasp revision 1 and 2 suffered with this horrendously. What this is basically, you see inside that Manly Wasp there, right about here is a bump that you should be able to see, I think. That bump is to accommodate this screw, which applies tension to this back spring so that it can hold that blade in place. You need that screw there. There's no getting around it. Everyone has it. The Hindra just happens to have them there. The UK PK has them there. And these all have them as well. Those bumps, ugly bumps there. This one has them all over the show there. It's a thing. You can't make a back spring slip joint without it. Now, on particularly cheap or poorly manufactured slip joints, you can do this. Once it's in the closed position, you can just keep going. You close it a bit more. Why is that a bad thing? Well, if there's nothing else to stop it, what's going to stop it is this back spring in there. This is just a cheap Amazon jobby, by the way. Don't be fooled by the... It is Damascus, but it's... You know, it's not great. Alright, but anyway, not reviewing this one. What will happen is you'll push this down and it will be stopped by that back spring. This will blunt the blade. This makes it basically useless. This one does it. You can hear this one doing it. Hear that? That's the blade smashing into the back spring. And it's not me. This knife is doing it by itself. Look. You just let it go. Oof. What are you supposed to do about that? Every single time. See that big blunt section there, I hope. Nothing you can do about that. You can sharpen this all you like, it will always do that. This knife, if it wasn't 15 quid, I would have set that back. How do the expensive premium manufacturers deal with these problems? Manly, after 2 attempts that failed, or 1 attempt to fix the problem that failed, originally that was a bump, then they cut that bump down to this flat thing you see here. That also didn't work, so what they did is they put a pin in here that would hit this when you close it, that would stop it from over travelling. Problem solved. Benchmade did the same with the propper. Spyderco took a different approach in where their spring actually isn't really a spring. They've got a little spring that comes off there. I'll see if I can get pictures of all this stuff. But this has like a mini spring inside, and therefore when this part here hits the back spring, no over travel. Hinderer took another different approach. What Hinderer did is they've actually cut a channel out into the tang and put a pin through that. So even if this back spring wasn't here, even if nothing was there, it was just open back, this blade wouldn't be able to go any further that way than this, and there's certainly no over travel. It can't go any further that way than this because there's a pin in there. Bestech. You've got all of the materials on here. This knife I could make one change to that I haven't already done, machining wise, and it would solve the problem. And that's what's winding me up so much about this. If you took those thumb studs and moved them 1mm in this direction, just 1mm, what that would do is that would mitigate this over travel. I mean, look, you can look at the back spring here. Look at that. That would mitigate that because those would hit that before the blade hit the back spring. And I've got a video, I'll just whack that up now. You can watch that, I'll speed it up, cut all the boring bits out. I've had to solve mine by getting some no more nails and putting it over this bump to accommodate that screw. Now, I was going to mention this in my unboxing video because I thought I noticed it then. Sharpened my blade, couldn't replicate the problem, couldn't find anyone else that had this problem online, so I didn't mention it, I didn't send the knife back. Yeah, wish I had, because when I was using this at work, oh boy did I notice it. For reference, I close my knife like this. If that's too hard, I'm sorry, but it's not acceptable. This is a £170 premium knife. How am I fixing your shit? £170 and you can't move a thumb stud 1mm in that direction. You can't put a stop pin in there under this. Literally, there's videos and videos and videos online. Look at any other premium knife. Look at the problems that this had. Look at the solution that this had. Look at the solution that this had. They're not doing it to be pedantic. They're doing it because there's a real issue. There's a reason Hinderer cuts out the channel. There's a reason the Benchmade Proper and the Hinderer and a bunch of other slip joints have a pin in them. If you're a knife maker, you should know this. Especially if you're a premium knife maker charging £170 for your product. If I'd have found another case of this online when I first unboxed this, I probably would have sent it back on that day. Now, because I couldn't find any other evidence of anyone else suffering on this with the Junzi, I'm thinking maybe I've got a lemon. And Bestech are welcome to tell me, yes, that's a lemon. Any of you, if any of you have a Junzi, do you have this problem where that part of your blade just goes blunt and you haven't really noticed why, or you know why and you just couldn't be bothered to say anything, or it doesn't bother you, whatever? Please just drop it in the comments. Bestech aren't going to hear this, they don't care. I'm no one, they're Chinese as well, they're not going to be interested in some schmo's view from the UK. If you are watching this, I love your design. It's sublime. It's so aesthetically pleasing. It's wonderful. Please put a pin in there. Please move these thumb studs 1mm this way and you've solved it. That's all you had to do. So for the first time on this channel, I'm actually going to have to give this I completely don't recommend this. The price is too high for what you're getting. You can get I mean, look, annoyingly, because of the knife laws, knives that we can actually carry in this country are prohibitively expensive, sort of, if they're the right materials. The Kaiser Zip Slip, for example, is basically the same materials and basically the same price. But, sort of ignoring that, these two Kaisers, which are also both titanium, and this one is also S35VN, and this one is also titanium and S35VN. That was 90, that was 100. And this, which is the same materials, doesn't have an integrated frame lock. That one was £70 more expensive than almost you can get both of these for the price of that. How? But there you go. That's the world we live in, I guess. So, for the love of God, yeah, I've seen others comment this is too expensive as is, and I would agree. I think this knife is not worth it. I don't recommend this at all. I think it looks fantastic. If they could drop this to 100, if they solved the problem with that close thing, you know, I'd probably recommend it. But as is, I've had to put some no more nails, like sticky pads in there to stop the blade from slamming into that back bit. So if you've got cash to burn and you really like sharpening, Bestech's got your back. This is a classic case of all fur coat, no knickers.